NLP continues to develop. Throughout the 70s, the 80s, and continuing to the present, NLP has continued to develop. We can look at all or most of these methods, some of them linguistic and some not, as ways to help someone improve their model of reality. Bandler and Grinder's The Structure of Magic 2, which came out in 1976, introduced what they called the Milton Model, modeling the language of Milton Erickson. This was the reverse of the meta model. The language patterns were intended to confuse and persuade, hypnotic language, in order to bring about change. Both volumes also discuss the importance and use of nonverbal communication. Language patterns, languaging, and nonverbal communication have continued to be important topics in NLP. Bandler and Grinder's Frogs into Princes, which came out in 1979, introduced working with submodalities. Those are the different facets of the 5 sensory modalities of sight, feeling, hearing, taste, and smell. So for vision, for instance, some submodalities would be brightness, color, size, location, and distance. Our brains code a lot of things using submodalities, so a number of NLP methods manipulate submodalities to bring about changes in perception and behavior, that is the model. For instance, I help clients to control pain using submodalities. Here's a little dialogue. Me. Go inside where the pain is and tell me where the color is. Client, red. Me, good. What would be a better color, a more comfortable color? Client, light blue. Me, all right. Now slowly allow the red to change to purple, to violet, to blue, and let it fade to just that right shade of light blue. Client, after a while, nods. Me. Now spread the light blue all around that area. Long pause. And when you're ready, tell me how it feels. Between 85 and 90% of the time, the pain will be gone or much diminished. If not, I have them do it in the auditory modality. The brain has coded the pain as red, and by manipulating the color submodality, we can change the coding and the experience of pain itself. Many NLP procedures work all or in part by manipulating submodalities, including working with grief, shame, with guilt, with perceptions of past events or how we envision the future. Timelines. Our neurology codes time visually. Each of us experiences the past as a line or curve, say, behind us, or off to the left, the future as a line or curve on the right or in front. There are other possibilities. Richard Bandler, as well as Steve and Connirae Andreas, developed ways of eliciting and utilizing these individual timelines to help change perceptions of, feelings about, and reactions to events in the past or expectations in the future. We can also manipulate the location and form of the timelines themselves to bring about sometimes profound shifts in experience and abilities. And for that, you can see the book Heart of the Mind by Connirae Andreas and Steve Andreas. It's published by Real People Press in 1989. This is in chapter 19, the part on timelines. Parts. The idea of parts, different aspects of ourselves, our psyches, is an old one in psychology and psychotherapy, going back at least to Freud's id, ego, and superego. I might say a part of me wants to eat lots of ice cream, while another part wants to be slim and fit. These parts are perceived as somehow separate from the whole, having their own desires, cravings, directions, and goals. One idea is that these parts have split off as ways of coping or dealing with particular events, difficulties, or traumas at particular times in our lives, but they continue to operate unconsciously in those same ways while the rest of us continues to develop or evolve. These parts, real or imagined, are part of the models we create, and they may generate feelings and behaviors that do not serve us well in the present. A number of NLP methods have been developed to work with and in some cases reintegrate these parts into the whole, including 6-step reframe, visual squash, for those who can see heart of the mind, and core transformation. Connirae Andreas, PhD, developed core transformation in 1989. You can see the book Core Transformation, Reaching the Wellspring Within by Connirae and Tamara Andreas, published by Real People Press in 1994. Core transformation is a multi-step procedure that draws upon several earlier NLP methods, including parts, 6-step reframe, and timeline. It works on both the conscious and unconscious levels. Recently, a client at the end of the session said, "How long was I under?" Although with core transformation, there's no hypnotic induction, the process itself often leads to a deep altered state. A part that's experienced as a problem, an impediment, a block, is transformed through evoking its core state, which is a high-level existential or spiritual state of being that represents the highest intention behind the way the part initially shows itself. And by the way, we can also work with positive parts such as creativity or the part that wants to be slim and fit. For example, a part that drives a client's smoking habit may initially want to relax, while the chain of higher intentions include calm, happiness, and finally, peace. Peace, what the part really wants, would be the part's core state, which the core transformation process then utilizes as a powerful resource to transform the part and ultimately the person. Having peace as their ongoing core state of being in the world can bring about profound changes in the client's feeling, thinking, and behavior, their neurology, their model, that goes way beyond just stopping smoking. Furthermore, the part itself, a previously split off, alienated aspect, is reintegrated into the whole, correcting, we could even say healing, the model, in ways that go far beyond the generalizations, distortions, and deletions of the meta model. Now wholeness. Nearly 20 years after she developed core transformation, Connirae Andreas began working on wholeness, initially for her own healing. She began teaching it to others in the fall of 2011. She says in her book, Coming to Wholeness, How to Awaken and Live with Ease, published by Real People Press in 2018, Connirae says, the simplest way to describe wholeness work is that it's about dissolving inner separation and coming to undivided experience. Wholeness is different from anything I've experienced in that it works more directly on the neurology, that is our model of the world, based upon sensory experiencing. We feel our emotions as sensations in our bodies and sometimes in the space around us. We are choked up, heartbroken, feeling punched in the gut. And these are actual sensations. They aren't just metaphors. These are manifestations of contractions of consciousness that we have accumulated in various ways since we were born or even before. Wholeness introduces the concept of awareness, not just as a mental state, but as a field that is all around and throughout us. Connirae says in the book, since we know that awareness is in and through the body, if something were to bump into your knee, there'd be an automatic feeling of that, because awareness is already there. The same thing is true of the space around us. And right now, if someone off to your right were to call out, "Hey," you'd hear it, right? The sound would just naturally and automatically be received. So that's this sense of space all around, this capacity to notice, this awareness. It's all around. The important thing is to include my full capacity to notice that's present throughout my body and through the space all around. It's easy, effortless, and there's no edge to us. Each of us is born with a vast, undifferentiated field of awareness. And as we develop, we accumulate contractions from many different sources. Frustrations, traumas, misunderstandings, hurts, injuries, and so on. Each of us has our own unique field of awareness, which can be equated with the whole of our neurology. In working with wholeness, we begin with a feeling or emotion related to an experience and ask, where do you feel it? Asking for a particular location in the body or elsewhere. From that point on, the work is all in the realm of sensory experience and the perception of it. The I, capital I, the perceiver, which itself is sensory experience. In the book, Connirae says, distortions of reality and limiting beliefs are held in place of these small, separate I's. That's capital I, not the thing you see with. Through this process, the contractions of consciousness are integrated back into the full field of awareness, the whole. In the book, she says, when we dissolve the I's, our limiting beliefs also dissolve. With wholeness, we're operating directly on the neurology, not through linguistic or submodality manipulations, to correct the model of reality, the map, enabling us to awaken and live with ease. With wholeness, NLP has come full circle.